Welcome to another episode of the Woman Up podcast, a place where female founders find success, sisterhood, and the real conversations that we actually want to have. This podcast is dedicated to our online platform where together we are navigating life, business, and all the messiness in between. This is not another Women in Business podcast where all we talk about is strategy and scaling. This is a chance for us to connect beyond the hustle. Don't get me wrong, there is space for that kind of conversation in the community, but the podcast is more about getting to know the women behind their brands. And I came up with this because I realized that before we were founders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, podcasters, whatever you want to call us, we were women first. And I really want to delve deep into women's stories, their journeys, and how real life has shaped them. As usual, if you want to know more about the community, just stay tuned. I will let you know about that later. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button or the follow button, depending on where you're listening in from. And on that note, I want to introduce you guys to my guest, Esther McCann.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm doing amazing, thank you. So nice to be here.
Oh, it's so nice to have you. I've actually been watching your content for a while, but I don't know why I felt a bit nervous to reach out.
I don't know why I am, because I'm the most approachable person on the planet.
Yeah, I saw that obviously we connected and I saw you on another interview.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to message her. And then when we had our intro call, I was just like, oh my God, why did I not do this sooner?
But I think you get an idea, don't you, or a narrative of what you think somebody is like behind their brand. And are they not approachable? Or are they going to judge me for reaching out or whatever it is? And well, I mean, I know I'm approachable, but it is one of those things that you have to just shoot your shot, don't you? And you don't know somebody until you really actually start to connect with them. Social media is very much a picture, a brand, and a story, isn't it?
Exactly. So before we get into the interview, just let us know who you are and what you do.
Okay, hello everybody. So I am Esther McCann. I am a manifestation expert. I'm the author of Manifesting Happiness. We've got our little books on the sofa. And I'm a feminine energy coach. So I specifically help women in business to balance their masculine and feminine energies so that they are able to manifest from a place of alignment and authenticity rather than hustle and burnout.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I obviously read your website and your bio and everything. I've made some notes that I wanted to read out because I was like, there's so much that I want to unpack here.
I'm scared.
In your on your website it says she helps women in business who feel stuck in their masculine hustle to help them tap into their feminine energy without the intangible spiritual fluff. So I was like, okay, when you say intangible spiritual fluff, what do you mean?
I mean, just being just tap into your higher self, and it's all just very let's just, kind of just meditate our way there. And it's just this kind of thing of for women especially, who I think are very practical, very grounded, very down to earth, very into their strategy. Don't get me wrong, these tools that work with our nervous system and that connect us to higher power are so incredible. But for those women, it's too much of a quantum jump to just be just stop what you're doing and just meditate and chill out, and you're going to get everything you want. So it's really about trying to make manifestation principles and the kind of relaxing, trusting principles a lot more accessible, practical. It's actually something you can implement into your routine rather than it just being what am I doing? And I think that's what a lot of my clients say. They're I actually know what I'm doing and reaching towards, and it's not just kind of wish upon stars and things like this. It's something they can actually do and be to create a shift.
I feel like I'm very what's the word when I'm kind of in and out with manifestation, because sometimes I'm well, I don't want to just surrender and let whatever's going to happen. I want to know how, I want to know what I can do to make it happen. And so sometimes I'm airy fairy and all for it, but then other days I'm stressed because I'm well, when is this going to come in? I'm stressed about maybe finances or whatever. How do you let go of some of that and surrender? Because I always hear this word surrender.
So I've been there a million times where I've been put in a position where I'm like, what I'm doing isn't working. I'm stressed out. I'm pushing, basically worrying about, let's just say it's money, or where's this opportunity going to come from? You know, I'm sort of chasing it, and you know, I'm trying to make it happen, and it's just not happening. And that's it for a lot of people. You know, they'll be kind of like going, I'm trying and I'm trying and I'm trying, and they're putting out this very needy, desperate energy. And I think you see that a lot, particularly if someone is selling in their approach, you know, like especially if people are like, you know, just selling the DMs and stuff, but they're very like, hey, and it's not relaxed, is it? And it is really difficult with especially the topic of money, because for most people, in order to feel really secure, they want to feel like they have a stable financial foundation, and it's very much like a chicken and an egg situation. It's like, okay, how can you tap into like everything's going to be okay when you don't have money in front of you? One of my friends said to me once, Laura, she said, just park it. She was like, just park money for 5 days or whatever. And she said, and just focus on something else, which is what I would obviously be saying to people, is like, right, you've got to shift your energy, shift your focus, and start coming at these topics from a completely different space. But she said, but if in 5 days nothing has changed, she said, you have my full permission to going back to worrying about the money thing.
Okay.
And within 5 days, it all just went click, 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 and everything was sorted. But it's like, sometimes just say to people, just don't worry about that anymore.
Yes,
that's too tough. Like, it's like, well, that's not going to like help anything. So for me, surrender is very much, it is an energy, and it is very like kind of spirit take the wheel. You know, what I'm doing maybe isn't working, and I need to put my energy into an area that feels good, an area that feels fun, light, flowy, easy. And then I know it takes an element of like faith to trust that this strategy works, but it does work.
Yeah.
When you suddenly go, oh, I've just stopped thinking about where's that client coming from, or where's that coming from, that's when it shows up. Every time. Like, it's just like without fail.
Yeah.
It's almost like when you stop scripting about it, when you stop obsessing over it, that's when you allow it to come in. Because this is like the art of manifesting, is saying, I know what I want, but I don't feel incomplete without it. And obviously the more you're focusing and stressing about where it's coming from, you're putting out this signal of I'm incomplete. So we have to shift your focus. But for most people, that is completely alien, that crazy concept.
Let's go back a step. What is manifestation?
So to me, manifestation is the process of bringing something into physical 3D form, whether it's an idea or, you know, a dream, a vision, or it can even just be a like those kind of little thought forms of, I haven't heard from so-and-so for a while, and then suddenly they appear. So it's bringing something from the non-tangible into the physical world.
Yeah. And then as a manifestation coach and a feminine energy coach, what do you do, and like how do you work with clients like on a day-to-day?
It used to be really different, so I will actually just do a rewind to kind of like how my journey with that has evolved. Because when I was starting out and it was doing manifestation coaching, I still do this to a degree, but I would take them through very much a process which is kind of outlined in the journal. Like you can kind of take yourself through it of, you know, what is it that you're wanting, what is it, where are you at the minute, like what is it that you're fed up with, like why is it that you're reaching for this thing, like what area, you know, are you hoping to grow in, like what is the feeling that you're seeking. And then kind of looking at like, okay, well, where can we kind of start to get that feeling now? Is there aligned action that you can take towards those things, which still stands. I used to do a lot more on the manifestation techniques side of things. But that being said, I mean, I give all of that away for free on my YouTube anyway. And you can go and do the same thing with so many manifestation coaches. They're giving away the techniques. But it's not really about the technique. It's about you, and it's about your energy and your belief and you showing up as the version of you that you want to be. And so for me, that stuff is just very kind of surface level. And there's so much more that can be done, and it's so much deeper than that. Like for people to go, say they're starting a business, to become that person that can hold that business, that can grow that business and go through all the limiting beliefs and all the challenges, like that does take inner work and lining up to the things that you want. And there's a lot to do with self-worth there, self-trust. And I just think like manifestation coach as a sort of bundled term, I don't think really does justice to what the work is that we're actually doing. But a lot of the women now that I work with have already got businesses. They've already kind of made that jump, but maybe they've started from that really inspired place, that passion place. They're like, I believe in this. And then somewhere along the line, they've just got too into the should do's, the strategies, all of that stuff. And they've just got burnt out, or they've kind of lost their way. And what started off really great is suddenly now it's not flowing as it used to. And that's really common. Like I've been there, like I wait for the universe to give me my kind of next stepping stone. I'm like, yes, this is it, right, let's go. And then like you kind of get that ball rolling, and suddenly you're like find yourself a bit down the line and you're like, oh my God, I've put myself back there again. So it's learning how to kind of just keep the balance between your feminine receptive practices and nurturing your spirituality, knowing where to let people help you, and like receiving support versus the times to take action. And I think it's just difficult once you sometimes get into that action zone. It's very difficult to switch that off.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a lot now to do with women's belief systems, and switching between these energy spaces.
Yeah.
And not going too far into one.
I feel like since leaving my job, there's so many things that have come up for me that are just like core beliefs that I've had around like making money, and like even just when I'm sending people like my pricing and my service guide for like podcast management services, it took me ages to narrow it down, because I was like, I don't know if I'm being fair, but also I'm charging enough. And then it was just this, I narrowed it down to the fact that I just believe that it's really hard to make money.
Yeah.
And put me in an interview pitching for a job and I'm like, fine. But when it's me and it's my own services and it's like I have to sell myself, it's like there's so much coming up at the moment for me.
Which is really common, because I think it's such a personal thing, isn't it? And it's like when you go in for a job, don't get me wrong, I've worked with lots of women who really struggle going into a job and thinking, what do I have to offer?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Even to a job. But I think often we link the price that we are, say, charging on our services up to, say, our quote unquote worth. And we're worried, like if somebody judges us and says, girl, you're asking like way too much, are you delusional or something like that? We take that so personally. And it's like, it's about us.
Yeah.
Not about what it is we have to offer.
Yeah.
And it is very much about finding your perfect people who just go, oh my God, like, well, what Martha does is brilliant and I can't do this and I've got the money and it's an absolute no-brainer. And, you know, of course, not even going to bat an eyelid.
Yeah.
And there are loads of people out there like that are just like, click, yeah, fine. Not even going to question it.
Yeah.
But it is when you come up against those people that are like, no, that it's really challenging, I think, for anyone to be able to just take that as water off a duck's back and not let that influence you. So in manifesting, they talk about ignore the 3D, which doesn't mean like you're going, la, 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 this isn't happening to me. It's not happening. Like, which can be really dangerous.
Yeah.
But it's being able to say, right, this stuff's going on around me, but I'm not going to let it influence where I'm going.
Yeah.
And that requires resilience and a lot of self-belief and a serious abundance mindset. That actually, even though you've come up against somebody who's not for you, trusting and believing that there are other people out there. And it is like a real test of faith.
Yeah. Hey ladies, quick pause. I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. As mentioned earlier, if you want to be part of our community and be the first to know when we launch, connect with us on Instagram or join the email list. Both links are in the description. We're going to have monthly guest speakers, live check-ins, accountability group, and even some in-person meetups happening throughout the year. And I personally can't wait. I know this business journey can feel lonely at times, but you don't have to do it alone. Connect with us and join the movement. Now, let's get back to the episode. Where do you think most women are going wrong with like the manifestation side, and like why do they come to you in the first place?
Well, I think most people come to me usually, this sounds awful. It usually is because they are feeling like something's missing. I mean, like at the end of the day, when you first discovered manifesting, I'm going to put this bluntly, it's usually because you're like, there's something I want and everything I'm trying is not working. So I'm willing to seriously throw it out there now and to try some really different stuff to make this happen. You know, it's because otherwise, would anybody really be looking for manifestation?
Yeah.
So you are also potentially looking and believing that there's something, a bigger power outside of yourself that could bring that thing to you. But ultimately, it's because people are coming from a place of lack, which is sad. I think a lot of the women now that come to me, there is that to a degree, but they've already built something, but it's just taking it to that higher level.
Yeah.
Or they're aware exactly what you're talking about. You're like, right, I've started something, and now that I'm in it, I'm realizing that in order for me to expand and to be able to hold it, I need to go that bit deeper, and I need someone to help me get over bits in my head that are holding me back energetically from A, either going after it, or B, allowing it in. It's usually that. There's some topics in manifesting I don't enjoy working with.
Like what?
Like manifesting specific people, and don't. Because it's possible.
Like specific people, like what? Like
It's usually someone they know.
Oh, okay. And they want to like,
and they're
be
like
in a relationship with them or something, for example.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that person's not interested.
Oh no.
And it's or it's an ex. Yeah. And it's really hard because it's like they're in such a difficult place with it. And also, a lot of the time, these people aren't treating them very nicely.
Yeah.
You know, and I think
that makes me sad.
It does, and it's like this whole kind of, you know, the twin flame thing, and it's like, but they're my twin flame, and then actually the twin flame thing perfectly encapsulates that kind of runner chaser dynamic between an anxious attached and an avoidant attached person, which I can identify with as the anxiously attached person, and a lot of the time that person is like, I just want to be chosen. Like, I really want to be chosen. And they think this is the person that needs to choose them. And actually, all their power, all their magnetism comes back from when they choose themselves. And I think this is one of the other things that I do in my work is it's about seeing yourself, seeing how amazing you are, like your value, your light, how incredible you are. How anything that you're manifesting, person, job, money, client, etc., would be so lucky to have you. But it always feels like we're the one, like, oh, please come to me. So it's about switching up that polarity. But yeah, so that side of things with the specific people stuff is not my bag. And so it is very difficult. Like if somebody's in a really difficult place with that. So on YouTube, I do a lot now that's about getting people to detach and just being able to say like, oh, like I'm letting it go. And when you learn to do that with anything, any manifestation that you want, you allow I believe like what's aligned for you, what's meant for you to flow in. But when people are in that space as well, where they're so attached, especially to a person, they're not being present.
Yeah.
You're just like robbed of your joy. I think we've all been there where there's been somebody we've like been pining over.
Yeah, of course.
And it absolutely just robs you of all your joy. So to be able to take your power back is really important. But I don't like working with that stuff one-on-one. I don't even remember how we got around to this, but it's like
I don't know, but I find this really interesting.
Do you?
Yeah. I actually wanted to mention something to you. So I went to a conference earlier this year and it's a really big platform that has like loads of different courses within it, right?
Okay.
And they do like health, wellness, meditations, like money management, like any topic you can think of, right? And it's all about like personal development. And so they have like different contributors that have like different topics.
Yep.
So one of their contributors is a manifestation coach.
Okay.
And they would said in the conference that her course brings in 80% of their overall traffic to the platform.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, like that's a huge percentage.
So her course brings for that whole conference.
For the whole platform.
Yep.
80% of people come because they want that specific course.
Interesting.
And I was like, at first I was like, wow, that's amazing. But then when I dug a bit deeper, I was like, is it amazing? Or are we all just like really in like this desperate energy?
Hungry.
Or like looking for like, I don't even want to say it's like a golden ticket, but it's like.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, like I want to learn how to manifest so that I don't have to do
the
work.
But it's also that I want to manifest so that I have an easy life. And don't get me wrong, we all want an easy life. But as we're talking about here, up leveling, you are going to come up and against ups and downs and bumps in the road. Partly because stuff does go on around you, and then you have to kind of go, right, I've got to, like we just said, not take that personally, move forward. And some of it is our own internal beliefs, perceptions, etc., reactions that create more strife than is necessary. And so I think obviously people were like, yeah, I'd love to just win the lottery.
Yeah.
And that's all my problem solved.
Yeah.
But then obviously, as we know, there's a lot of people that don't feel they can receive it, but then there's something in their nervous system that is like, it's not safe to hold this money, and they'll find a way to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So whilst it's lovely, I think people just want to have a nice life where they come up against nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not realistic. Like, you're always going to come up against contrast on your journey, but it's knowing that you can alchemize that and not letting it deter you. But yeah, so only if you don't mind me asking, was the course just generic, or was it a specific topic in manifesting?
I don't know. It's like I don't know how many days, but there's a different video each day.
Okay.
For like I imagine a month at least, where she just takes you through exercises like meditations, visualizations, that kind of stuff. I just found it really interesting that is a huge amount of traffic.
That is a huge amount
considering
of traffic.
all the different topics that they cover. I was like, that's really interesting. I wonder what Esther would think about that.
Well, when I've done like some festivals and things, I shouldn't really say this because it doesn't sound particularly like confident of myself, but I've been at festivals and things, and my slot is sold out really quick.
Yeah,
and I'm going, whoa, people are saying, "Oh, I'm going to come and see you." I said, "You're not, because it's sold out." But it's not people from my audience.
Oh, right.
No,
okay.
it's just traffic via the thing. So I do think it is that people are looking for answers.
Yeah.
But also growth.
Yeah.
And if this is the way to get it, then do you know what? It's a positive thing, because at the end of the day, manifesting does work. Energy strategies do work. What's just sad is that there's so many people that feel like they're living in a lack of fulfillment. But then that's obviously why myself and other people are doing this work to help people to go get there. But this is one of the things that when I created this book, which is beautiful, but I did say, and like I've had people say to me, they're like, "Oh, I don't really see it like that." But I did say to them, I was like, I don't want this to be about. It says a journal to attract all good things, right? And what I didn't want it to be was get the house, get the guy, get the good job, and then you'll be happy. The whole point of manifesting, coming back to that point, is to be able to tap into fulfillment, fun, love, joy, presence in the here and now, and that creates this incredible energetic ripple effect. It's not about I'll be happy when.
Yeah.
And I think that's the trap. That can be one of the big traps with manifesting. And that's, why obviously it doesn't always work for people, because they are very much in that space of, oh, just when I get this,
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
that one
yeah.
more thing, and then I'll be happy. And you have to go, I have to become that version of me at an energy level now before I've got the stuff.
Yeah.
And then the stuff will catch up.
Okay. Can I actually tell you something else that happened to me? So I spoke to the manifestation coach, by the way, at this conference, and I was like, I have this big dream with like my podcast and my community, and it's like that is all the way over here, and I know what it looks like, and it's amazing, and it's got all these things, and there's thousands of women in the community, and let's say this is Z, and at the moment I'm on A, and so sometimes I'm like, how do I know if I'm on the right track to this, and like, how do I know that I'm doing the right things? And sometimes I'm just like, oh, this is never going to happen because it seems so far away. And like, how do I tackle those moments where I'm just like, oh, like this just seems like it will never happen. And if it does, it's going to be so far away that I'm probably going to be like dead by the time it happens. And she just said to me, well, you need to just bridge the gap.
This is
And
what
I
I'm
was
talking about,
like,
about
okay,
intangible fluff.
Yeah, so
Bridge
then
the
I
gap.
was like, is that it?
Yeah.
Like I was waiting for the rest.
But that's what I mean. It's like there's these kinds of, I get what she's talking about.
Yeah.
But no one's going to know what that is. That is literally intangible spiritual fluff in a nutshell. Because like to any person, they're going to go, well, what is the gap? How do I bridge it? Like I'm literally asking for a little bit more.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you get into that energy of bridging the gap? So there's probably a few ways that we can kind of look at this. So if I'm going to take it like at a biblical level, it's in the Bible, they talk about the Alpha and the Omega. So literally A to Z, beginning and end. And then it says like what happens in the middle, like God's way is mysterious. Like, so the universe's way is mysterious. What happens in the middle to a degree is kind of none of your business.
Right.
Like if you are like thinking, right, I this is what I'm going to do. This is where I'm going. And this is exactly how I'm going to get there. Listen, you may know that, like you may actually have that, but most of us don't have a fully complete blueprint. And it is very much about saying, and not needing that blueprint to get started, because I think a lot of people are like, I do need to have this fully mapped out journey, and it makes them feel really in control.
Yeah.
And I know where I'm going, and there's no uncertainty. And it is very much like you just have to live present moment by present moment, step by step, working with what's in your head, working with the energy, working with the people in front of you, working with what's coming along. So a lot of this is to do with presence. It's not to do with like, the more you feel like there's a problem, the more you actually hold yourself kind of in the energy of a problem. So it's actually to just say, okay, I need to be here now. And what is the best use of my energy right here, right now? If I know the end is done, I just need to stop trying to like over brainstorm analysis paralysis, because the divine ideas won't come from that space. I've done that. Like I've gone, I think about this, I think about that. And it like doesn't really go anywhere. So my advice to anyone in that space is, obviously if you're really in a funk, like a really big funk with your business, I'd say to people, can you, where possible, where can you park some elements of this, or just put this down, even for it's a week? Same thing what I said about the money thing. How can you put this down, and what do you want to pick up instead? So by doing that, you let the energy loosen up. That's when you start finding like ideas start dropping in. You're like, oh, hang on a minute, I'm going to go and get back to that. The other thing is always as well remembering your why, like coming back to, why did I start this in the first place? Because I think so many of us lose that somewhere. I think especially the words like profit and passion. Don't get me wrong, like if you're in a business, you want there to be profit, right?
Of course, yeah.
But sometimes it becomes all about that, and you lose the spark of why you started it in the first place. So coming back to that. And then the other piece is, some people call it like act as if, be as if, higher self kind of stuff. You have to think, okay, who's the version of me who has that end goal? That's where the visualizations and things where you meet your future self and stuff can be very powerful. You're trying to go, who is that, and how would they be showing up? What's their belief systems? What's their energy like? What are they spending their time on? That will help you bridge the gap as well, because you're stepping into it now. Like
Yeah.
the only moment's now, so what you're going to use it for.
Yeah.
But I get it that, again, for most people, they're like, oh, I don't want to use the moment of now. I just want to be there, and I want you to make it easy for me.
Yeah.
And I want a strategy. And I think that's where
That's
people
me.
go, like, you know, I've bought another Facebook ad that's going to like take me to the,
Yeah.
you know, but this is it. It's a lot of the people are just kind of buying a lot of like courses and things because they are looking for that get rich quick scheme. And they just don't want to go on a journey with it.
Yeah. I do want to bring up the act as if thing again, because that's something that I'm working with as well, because that was like a sticking point for me specifically, because I was like, well, if I was my dream self right now, she might just like pop to Italy for the weekend or whatever, or she'll go to that retreat that's happening in August, but right now I don't have the money to pay for that retreat. So then it's like, how do you act as if when you don't have the means to
I do take issue with this sometimes. It's like where people are like saying, oh, you know, you would, if that version of you can go out and buy a Chanel bag, just go put it on your credit card now. Like,
do people say that?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Scandalous.
Guys, please don't do that.
Please don't do that. It's really bad advice.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, though, the person might do it, but then again, coming back to like, can they hold that vibration, that vision that they'll be able to pay that off?
No, because then you're creating anxiety. And
because for those people, by odds, they aren't financially in the mindset yet where they would be able to pay that off.
Yeah.
So they've just spent it, but they can't call it in. And also, you know, obviously I've, you know, bought lovely luxury items, but I've also really come to a place with that where I'm like, that stuff doesn't give me fulfillment. It's lovely to be able to say I had the money to be able to buy it, but it's not going to give you lasting happiness. I like buying luxury items now just because I know they last.
Okay.
So for me, it's like, if I don't want a scraggy belt. Like, I don't want to have to keep like upgrading my belt every couple of months because it's fraying. I'm like, I'd rather buy something that's going to last a long time. Because I also take, you know, fashion it to a degree. You know, there's a spiritual element with fast fashion of, you know, well, if that's going in landfill, it's not good for Mother Earth. I'd rather have something that I'm going to keep for like a really long time. So coming back to your question, it's about saying, what was the feeling that I was hoping to get from that experience?
Right.
You know, is it freedom? You know, is it kind of R&R time? You know, like rest, relaxation? Is it a bit of pampering? And you can seek that in so many different ways. It's just about giving yourself the feeling of what and building it up incrementally. And you don't have to go straight to, basically, if I'm not just jetting off to Italy for the weekend, I'm a failure.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think that's a really easy mindset to fall into of if I'm labeling that as success, then I'm basically saying I'm not a success now, which then creates a very, very disempowering narrative. And again, a chaser lack mindset. So it's finding ways to say, I am finding experiences that I'm enjoying now that would give me the same kind of feeling, and I'm tapping into that feeling of I'm a successful businesswoman right now, and not just when I say can go to Italy on the whim, or when I hit particular milestones in my business, because I feel like I've hit quite a lot of milestones that maybe other people would really like, and it's not that I take them for granted, but it doesn't, suddenly your life doesn't go like, and that's it. Like those moments come and go. You know, I always say for actors, like, not every day is Oscar season. You know, and there'll be times where they're not working, and they have to like not go, look, just because I'm not being given an award today doesn't mean I'm not a good actor. You have to be able to embody that identity of who you are through all seasons, which is, you know, challenging for most people.
Yeah. How did you get into this?
So trying to keep the story really short. So when I was going through my divorce, I started looking at, like, you know, meditations and things to just try and manage my, you know, energy. And it was a really, really difficult time. and I was on YouTube, and you know what YouTube's like, it just algorithmically starts recommending things, and Abraham Hicks came up, and I started listening to that and thinking there's definitely some gold in here, like there's something in this. And I started doing a little bit of what I would call conscious manifesting. And actually, one of the first things I ever did manifesting wise was I did a list where I was manifesting for other people.
Oh, okay.
And not really very much for myself. And from all the people that I was manifesting for, like all their things started coming through for them.
Oh, wow.
And I just thought, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. And at the time I was working in health and safety, you know, just gone through the divorce and blah, blah, blah. And I did a qualification, or was trying to do a qualification, I should say. And I failed on the exam. And I don't know how, because I really did revise very, very hard for that.
For what exam?
For this like really boring health and safety exam. Okay. Yeah, it was really, really dull. And somehow didn't pass it. And when I got that result, though, I just remember looking at it and going, I don't know if I really want to retake this. I'm not really passionate about this. And this year has been very much about me choosing passion and what do I really want to do with my life. But then this is where that conundrum analysis paralysis comes in, and you're going, well, then what do I do with my life? And so I was looking on Indeed, and I was going, I don't know. And then I just thought, do you know what? I'm just going to do a manifestation technique, and I'm going to throw it up to the universe and say, look, put me on this path. So that's what I did.
When you say manifestation technique, what do you mean?
So I did the 2-cup method, which is like water, where you have 1 glass of water, which represents your current reality. And then you kind of pour it into this other cup, which represents your new reality.
Okay.
And I said, right, this is how I want to feel.
Okay.
This is how I don't know what kind of work I wanted to be doing, but I was like, this is the kind of interactions I want to be having. And then I did that. Then you drink the water. The video's on my YouTube if anybody wants to watch it.
I want to do this.
So I did that, and then within like 3 months, everything just snowballed, like really snowballed. So at the time, obviously, I was interested in manifestation, so I was doing like courses and stuff, and then I found out about coaching, and then at my work, they said, oh, we're looking for coaches, and I was like, oh, wow. So put myself forward. So got to do a proper coaching qualification. And then I saw a thing come up, and it said, oh, you know, we're looking for first-time speakers. And I thought, well, I'm a first-time speaker. Like, I've never spoken before. And I went to that, and then that was it then. Just everything just went really quickly. And I guess this comes back to surrender. I didn't do the technique and then went, oh, I'm still looking on Indeed and I'm still out there looking for answers outside of myself. I just focused on what was calling me in that moment and what I wanted to give presence to. And then suddenly everything started to click into place. It's just about helping people to feel safe to do that. It doesn't mean that you're not in control. It doesn't mean you're taking your eye off the prize. I think some people might think, oh my God, well, this is a thing that I want. And it feels counterintuitive to not put my focus on it. Like, am I telling the universe that I don't want it? And that's not the case at all. I still want it. There's no obvious stepping stone in front of me. So over to you, Spirit. And it's that feeling really, really safe to be able to just take your hands off the wheel and let Spirit drive you to the next checkpoint.
It's hard though.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say that is easy. That I feel like it's a continuous learning curve. Like you'll learn to surrender one time with one manifestation. A new manifestation comes in. You're like, I never knew I wanted this before, but I really want it now. And then the next thing you know, you're like back there again. And you're going, oh, I've got to relearn to surrender this whole new thing. It's like, I often say, it feels like a carrot's been dangled. I don't know. Let's just say a new client comes along and you're like, oh, this is a really good client. And they go, I'm just going to think about it. And you're like, oh, I really want that. I really want them. And you're like, it's like you didn't know they existed yesterday. Why are you freaking out about this now? But we've all been there. And you have to just be able to go, like, it's fine.
Are there any techniques or like daily habits that you have to help with like the surrender aspect?
So for me, my top 2 things, which obviously I create loads of, is subliminals, which people can listen to overnight. So basically you're just programming yourself overnight. I call it lazy manifestation. You don't have to think about it. It's just going in your head whilst you sleep and helping you to like reprogram your subconscious, shuffle everything around. And then the other thing that I do in the daytime is my EFT tappings, which just really help you to regulate your nervous system, calm down your fight or flight response, and just to kind of literally take a big exhale. But you can also use them to pump yourself up as well. You don't have to just use them to relax. You can also use them to energize yourself.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, what is EFT tapping?
So EFT tapping is emotional freedom technique, and it is a tapping technique where you tap on a series of meridian points around your body, and that moves energy, but also it works on your amygdala, which is the primitive part of your brain. So when that's activated and you're in fight or flight or freeze or fawn, that's not serving you. And so we're letting that part of the brain know, like, it's okay. There's no threat here. We're safe to go ahead. Let's move forward.
Yeah. I love this. We're going to do a tapping at the end, aren't we? Yeah. Let's talk about your styling, because I saw on your website you do like fashion. How did that come about?
That's a great question. I've always been really interested in, fashion illustration is my thing more than actual fashion. But years ago, so this is before I got into this work, where naturally I used to draw and do fashion illustration like all the time.
Yeah.
And that was what my actual Instagram was originally. And then then some stuff happened, 3D world happened, it stressed me out. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I just stopped. And then I remember at the time as well, I was trying to do what is called cosmic ordering.
What's that?
Which is like basically like a form of manifesting.
Okay.
And I wrote a list of like all these things that I wanted, and I didn't get any of them. And I know. I was like, what a crock of nonsense. Didn't work. But I was in a very dark place then. So yeah, I didn't get any of the things that I wanted. So that was my original interest. And then I remember just last summer, I think, just going, that'd be fun. Like, I'll do like, I'm going to do a qualification in styling. And then I kind of, obviously, I've known this for a while, and I have talked about it on a couple of other videos, and there's a couple of little pages on it in the book. But how you dress, I know some people would argue it's a narrative and that you should be able to wear whatever you want. But I know I feel really good when I present myself in a certain way.
Yeah.
I also think, again, act as if, like, who is the highest version of you?
Yeah.
How are they showing up to life?
Yeah.
How are they presenting themselves to the world? How are they expressing themselves? I think how you express yourself through your clothes is a direct reflection of what's going on the inside. I wanted to just bring it in as an extra arm to the business to help women to just step into their power.
Yeah.
And I know for some people it's like they feel so powerful on the inside, but they're looking in the mirror and they're going, this ain't matching up. And then they just need that on the top. Whereas for other women, actually, it's by doing the fashion work, it gives them that boost.
Yeah.
So it works both ways.
Just a quick reminder, guys, while you're here, if you have a podcast or a podcast idea brewing in that little brain of yours, I would love to support you. I currently have a mini course that helps you tackle the top 3 things that I hear that stops people from launching their podcast. I've also got other resources to help you launch or grow with ease. No more stressing over editing or strategy. I've got you. Just connect with me on Instagram and let's chat about how we can bring your podcast to life. It is time to stop procrastinating on this one. Okay, let's get back to the episode. I'm doing like a brand photo shoot next week.
Oh, fabulous.
And at first I was a bit nervous and I was like, I don't like, surprisingly, I don't actually like being in front of a camera. Like, I don't like having my picture taken. I'm really awkward with posing. Sure. But then I spoke to the girl that does the photography, and she was like, we're going to create a Pinterest board and we're going to do this and that. And then I just got so excited. Yes. And now I'm like, I can't wait for this.
And I think it takes somebody like that to just bring out the best in you. Because back in the day, because I've got quite a lot of tattoos, so I used to do like tattoo. I love your tattoos, though. Thank you. I used to do like a lot of tattoo modelling and wear a lot of like, well, not a lot, to be honest. Didn't really wear a lot at all, to be fair. There's definitely pictures of me with my boobs out there, like out on the internet. But like sometimes, when you get like a creepy photographer and you're like, so it's like who you're working with. Yeah, there is something in that. Like they can really bring out the best in you. I'm excited to see these pictures.
Oh, me too.
But I used to be like, those types of pictures always used to be very like duck pal, And
no, I've said that to her. I don't want.
And like now, for me, it's like, smiling is, so important.
Yeah. I did say that to her. I do want maybe a few posed ones, but I want like candid, like laughing or like, that kind of stuff.
Yes, it's it's natural.
Yeah.
Like she's caught you off guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, cute.
She's pretend caught me off guard.
Yeah. Yeah. quick, tell me a joke.
Yeah. Okay. In terms of manifestation, what are like the biggest results you've seen for yourself?
For me, in my personal life, so my house at the time, my house is amazing, and it gave me, because it's got a basement floor, so it gave me a rental income, which when I was going through my divorce, like I gave over quite a lot of money, to be honest. So I really feel like the universe really took care of me with that house, and someone else had bought the house and it fell through, and then it was mine, and that house I just knew. And I remember saying to the woman at the estate agents, oh, can I make an offer? And she's like, well, no, because you haven't got an offer on your house. And I went, I'll call you back on Monday. And that on that Monday, my house had an offer on it.
Oh, wow.
So I just knew. I was like, that's for me. I think my daughter, like I conceived her way before I got into manifesting, but I've never got pregnant since. I was actually on the pill. I've got suspected endometriosis, and I feel like she was, honestly, I really do feel like she was heaven sent to me at a time where I was on a bit of a slippery slope. So for me, I feel like she was sent to kind of anchor me down.
I love that.
And then I would say, obviously, this career, everything I've spoken about, because I didn't see any of this happening. And then the other one is my partner. I adore him.
Yeah.
I think like we have such a healthy relationship. But what I will say about that is that when we first got together, so he is a chef and he'll spend all day like so focused in his work.
Yeah.
He's not a big texter, etc. We would have huge periods of silence, and that for me was so incredibly triggering. It set off something in me so bad, and I had to really ask myself, I said, is this a relationship that I can actually take on? Or, is this a wound that's going to keep coming round and keep coming round? Because it's been coming round for about 20 years. So, I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to rise to the challenge. And I did. And a lot of the time I did so much tapping, so much journaling, and I would say to myself, like, if I felt like I was needing to say something, I was like, how would the highest version, the most secure version of Esther respond to this? How would she respond from her empowered place and not react from her wound? And I took myself through that, and we've like massively come out the other side of that.
Yeah.
But I had to step into a whole new version of me to be able to hold that relationship. It wasn't easy. So I'm just putting it out there again, like with manifestation, I think people want to just receive stuff and it's great, but sometimes you have to become a whole new person in order to get it.
Receive it.
And that is one thing I will end that note on there, is just that sometimes when I work with people, they do just put stuff out there and then the stuff comes and it's just like, oh, that was easy, lovely. Other times it's like friends fall away, jobs fall away, upheaval, and it's like, yeah, that's part of the thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes space needs to be made.
Yeah.
Toxic stuff needs to go.
Yeah.
And I think some people are like, I didn't want to sign up for that part.
Yeah,
and it's like,
true.
but just how it is.
Earlier you said you did a list of things that you wanted to manifest,
Yes.
and then none of them happened. Can you manifest something that isn't for you?
I think you can push something that's not meant for you. I bought a house and there was a lot coming up where it was like not aligned, but I kept pushing it. And then when I moved in, the neighbour turned out to be a complete nutter. I remember within about a week, I said to my partner at the time, I said, I don't think I was meant to have this house. And I pushed it. And now I'm regretting it. Like I didn't listen to the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes there are doors that aren't meant for you that you shouldn't be pushing. So I think you can back yourself into a corner.
Yeah.
Like you can put yourself on a timeline. You can get out of the timeline, but you may have a bit of work to get to backslide. I think it's the same as like, it's probably more this, you manifest what you think you're worthy and deserving of. A really amazing person can come into your life, but you're like, they're too nice, or, you know, whatever. It's not what your nervous system knows, so you don't choose them. And you pick the person that you know, the familiar chaos.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you can, I'm not saying it's not meant for you because it's part of your journey to overcome it, but I think you can keep picking things that aren't in your best interests. I'll put it like that.
One of the things the problems I had when I first started like reading The Secret and all that, this was like a decade ago, is when like bad stuff happens, it's so easy then to be like, oh, well, what did I do?
Oh, yeah, you self-blame.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's basically saying you create your reality.
Yeah.
Which is really, really, I feel, very scary and toxic. And there's lots of things happening in the world that to me aren't fair or just. And so for me, a lot of it is about saying, look, these things are happening. I'm still here, and about navigating it. But if you, again, it puts people in that scary place of if I have to only think positive all the time or something bad's going to happen to me. And it's exhausting. It's not real.
It is, yeah. Okay.
It's not real.
Okay. Let's touch on your book quickly, because I bought this, but I'll be honest, I haven't even like started it.
Yes.
It came like last week, and then I was like, oh, I need to talk to her about it. Is it designed to be like one thing every day?
It's a 24-week journey.
Okay.
So each week is a different theme. So you start the week with like this page where it's kind of like, how do you want to feel this week? And putting focus on a particular topic.
Yeah.
And then you've got 3 questions that you'll complete every day.
I love it. Okay.
And then there's weekly reflections on like, what have you received? You know, what's gone well. But the idea is just getting you to look at your life across the board, but also helping you to go, you know, say you're like, I'm wanting to manifest money, but again, you're in that funky place. Well, go and pick a different week then.
Okay.
So you can jump around. You don't have to.
You don't have to follow it in order.
No.
I love how like creative it is as well.
It's
like
cute.
There's so many like illustrations. It's so colourful. I
do love a picture. So
yeah.
That's worked out well for me.
I love it. Okay, I'm going to do this and then I will feedback to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you have time to do a tap in?
I reckon we could do a couple of rounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
So will you just lead it and then I repeat after you?
Yes. What do you think the listeners would appreciate?
What if we do one that's like letting go of like limiting beliefs?
Yeah.
And stepping into your power.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, right. So everybody, we start tapping on the side of our hand here. Use your index and third finger. You can use your fourth, but as long as you use those 2, that's most important. So we tap there and just repeat after me. Follow Martha. But also rate how you feel on a scale of 0 to 10. So a 0 is like, oh, I'm not in a great place with this. And, I don't know how to surrender. And a 10 is, do you know what? I'm going to be absolutely fine. I can surrender, but I'm also a complete baddie as well. Okay. Right. Okay. So let's go. So here we go. Even though I really want to be successful and to follow my vision. Sometimes I don't believe in myself. And I get in a funk. Because I can't see the way forward. I choose to be a lot kinder to myself. To stop overanalyzing. To celebrate myself now. To be present. Loving and accepting myself. Unconditionally. Right, and then we go up to the ends of the eyebrow. So I'll take you through. I'll say them as we go. So ends of the eyebrow. I am safe to be successful. Sides of the eye. I am safe to follow my dreams. Under the eye. And I don't need to have it all figured out. Under the nose. No one has it all figured out. On the chin. It would be great to have it all figured out. Under the arm. But that's not realistic. On the crown. I am going to be present. With what serves me now. What feels good now. With what sparks my interest now. I'm just going to do that. I'm going to focus. Collarbones where it feels good. And trust the universe. That the rest will follow. Believing in myself. And having fun
and having fun
are two of my superpowers. When I focus on what feels good,
and
when I focus on what I'm doing well at, I feel so much better. I feel so present. I am enjoying my life. And I'm not focusing on what isn't going well. And that isn't working out for me. This may feel different. And it may feel counterintuitive. But I can do this. I've got everything to gain. Everything is working out for me. Under the eye, I don't need to be perfect. And I've got so much to offer. So much value. And so much light to give to this world. Focusing on my fun. Focusing on my flow. Put your hands to your heart space. Focusing on what makes me feel good. And really recognizing myself. The rest will follow. So it is.
Oh,
yay. How'd you feel?
Great.
It was really alien for me because I'm not used to saying the points as I go round anymore.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were going to.
What? It's throwing me off big time. But I'm sure people enjoyed it.
Yeah, I hope so too. I enjoyed it.
There's loads on my YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah, I recommend them.
Go and have a go.
Okay, so we'll quickly wrap up with the Woman Up wrap up. Tell me something about you that no one really knows. Quick fact.
Something that nobody knows. So when I was about 15, I was in a competition in Leicester Square for people who do impressions. It was with Haribo, the sweets.
Yeah.
And I was in the final. But people are always like, do an impression. I'm like, no.
So why were you in the final?
Because I used to do really good impressions
you don't do
of
them
people.
Now, you mean?
No. I do funny voices now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The impressions I used to do then I won't do now.
Oh, okay. Would you rather go back in time and give advice to your younger self or meet your future self and hear what she has to say?
Future self. I've done that quite a lot, yeah.
You've done that quite a lot?
Yeah, I've done that, yeah.
Damn, we don't have time to go into this.
Yeah.
If we had this conversation a year from now, what's the one thing that you hope you've achieved by then?
In my personal life, obviously, I want to have moved house. And in my business, I want to have spoken in America.
Oh, I love this. Yeah, you should do that. You could do that easily. Okay, last one. If you had to describe this season of your life as a song, a book title, or a movie, what would it be?
Oh my God. I feel like the last season it would have been like The Grinch or like Fun with Dick and James. My house has been like a complete and utter nightmare. I think like something like Moving On Up.
Oh, I love
Curtis Mayfield. Yeah.
I like that song. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I will let all of you guys know how I get on with the book, and I'll put the link to the book in the description. So if you want to get that, and let me know because then we can do it together. But thank you guys for listening or watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, write us a review, do anything that will help us push the podcast out there. I really appreciate you, and I will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, that's it for another episode of the Woman Up podcast. Thank you for spending time with us. It really means the world. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please take a second to follow the show and leave us a review. It really helps more women to find these conversations. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And also leave us a comment if anything in the episode resonated with you. We love to hear from you. Even better still, feel free to share this episode and tag us on your socials. Of course, I will see you right here next week for more real talk, sisterhood, and conversations that actually matter. Until then, keep going, keep growing, and woman up.